This is day 1585. If I'm on, if everything is working. Seems like I'm getting some good feedback from the earlier live stream on Facebook. Thank you so much for that. See if I'm on. It doesn't seem to show. I'm on. There it goes. Okay. All right. And of course, this is 1,585 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered. Code red. Now, code red, I don't think it was an authorized, that's what the code red means. It's not really, I don't think it's authorized. Really. I think it's illegal. I think that um, the sabotage of our Fort Bliss command is definitely there, and we know for sure that Clem Coward was in on this, and he was, 2-star general in on this. We know that his chain of command in on this, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, in on it. Captain David Park, in on it. First Sergeant Jay Paulin, retired now, in on it. First Sergeant Michael Ruggiero, in on it. Absolutely, Command Sergeant Major Jake Jakovitz, in on it. I don't think that Brigadier General David Stewart was in on it. I think that he was absolutely kept in the dark when we got there. He tried to help. He gave us very, very good information. Because of that, I think he was also targeted and retaliated against harshly, sent away harshly. When he came back, he wasn't the same man. He definitely wasn't the same general. He wasn't the same man. They had gotten to him. Absolutely lived through that, saw it with our own eyes. We believe that they got to him and they intimidated him, threatened him, whatever, with his with the life of his family. Absolutely. And I feel bad because it made him commit crimes, right? It made him, through threats, through their pressure, and it can be so brutal, y'all. It can be so brutal and vile and vulgar. Through that, I believe, that they brought him into this criminal group, and he did because of his actions after he came back from his deployment. Look at in Qatar or whatever, that he committed crimes in the case of our son. And it makes me sad because I did meet his wife, I did meet his children, and it just makes me sad that this happened through this criminal group. But they are absolutely brutal. They are willing to kill for their criminal trafficking network that they have there on the border. And they are absolutely a criminal group that wants to get into uniforms, wants to have badges, wants to have authority, and they will do illegal things to do it, to get there. And you know because they do illegal things, we have the case of Penny Hamilton. Penny Hamilton is a much bigger piece of puzzle, uh, a larger puzzle piece than we thought, because she was illegally in her position. She was an imposter judge. She had no authority to even be a judge. Um, and so she was just an imposter. She's a criminal. She issued subpoenas and warrants in Richard's case without any authority. And um, she magistrated Patrick Crucius without any authority. She sealed Patrick Crucius's case right away without any authority. Um, so the subpoenas and the warrants and the sealing of cases, and I'd like to know because, we absolutely, you know, uh, and she now is working for Bill Hicks in the DA's office, who desperately have to cover up these two cases. Okay. Um, and so she is a larger puzzle piece than what we thought. A major criminal in this, and just the control of the judicial system over the direction of cases, of investigations. And we know that Richard's investigation was absolutely hindered, was absolutely um, tampered with, you name it. And the person that determines an investigation would be the judicial system. And so we have in the JAG Judge Robert Lee Shook, and then we have on the civilian side Penny Hamilton, and of course the uh, El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, which right now, as far as I know, there hasn't been any election for a judge on that court, and therefore that court right now is empty. It's not functioning. It's not functioning legally. All the functions, if there's any functioning in that court right now, it's done without authority. It's done illegally. And so we have notified any of the workers that have to carry out the functions, the orders of that court, to let them know that they better not carry them out, because they are then going to have vicarious liability, which is, continuing something that's illegal. And it's a very, very big deal in this because of the chain of custody for Richard's remains. And the digging up his remains, yeah, the whole thing, because Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss, and then our information, evidence has it that he was dismembered, so that they could separate his burial, his remains in different, I don't even know if they buried him, and to separate him, and that they transported remains across to the Mexican, into Mexico. Um, it's just horrific, absolutely horrific what what we are living through, what we've had to live through. And of course, Penny Hamilton would be key to that. Judge Robert Lee Shook, JAG officer on Fort Bliss, would be key to that. They shipped him out of being military. They shipped him out very quickly after we asked for open records from him and the subpoenas and warrants, because we received word that people were arrested in Richard's case, and we wanted to know what were the subpoenas, what were the warrants, what, of course, the chain of custody in Richard's remains, which we have not um, received. We need to receive our son's remains because we have evidence that they have them. And we did receive the official declaration of death, and that paperwork um, confirmed that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. So that is really, really important information that we're starting to connect dots how this all happened legally, but it was fraudulently, okay, especially when it comes to Penny Hamilton, because she is not a legitimate, she did not act with authority at all. She had no authority to participate at all in any case, much less our son's case and the Walmart case, which she absolutely participated in and had no authority to do so. So this is really, once you understand this, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's really difficult. Um, for me at the beginning, really difficult to try to understand all of this. But once you understand it, you see that this criminal group could have done this, I mean, you just have to pay attention to catch them, right? Because they're so illegal, they're so lawless. But that's the thing. You have to even care. And of course, we care because of what happened to Richard. So we, absolutely invested the time and the effort to look into this. And so many people's lives have been targeted and hurt. And this criminal group used Leilani Hart, a confirmed convicted criminal, and also Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, also criminal history, to target not only Richard and our family, Richard's investigation, also the Walmart mass shooting investigation, also um, Yvonne Rosales' administration, Yvonne Rosales and her administration, and also our key whistleblower witness, and also the Walmart mass shooting whistleblower witness to both Judge Roger Rodriguez. And to target, to be targeted is wow, this criminal group is vicious, they're vile, they're vulgar, but they're lawless. They're lawless. And so I definitely understand why, um, because there's double agents in here, like they'll come and they'll say, oh, I'm helping you or whatever. But they really are behind your back, trying to put the narrative about Richard or, lies, just to spread lies or whatever, or to try to get videos of you or audio of you saying something. And we're very fortunate. We kept our head and we really didn't get angry because in anger you can say things that you regret, but we didn't. And I'm not saying we never got angry, but we maintained, um, and there is nothing that they have against us except for the love of our child, of course, our son, our hero, Richard Halliday, and that we will work and we will expose the lawlessness that surrounds this case, and also the betrayal of the obligation to care for our volunteer sons and daughters. We cannot beat China or Russia or any other adversary if we don't have leadership that is missing esprit de corps and a love for their own service members, and meet their obligation to care for those that are under their command. And the betrayal in Richard's case, the lack, the zero esprit de corps, the zero Medal of Honor ethos, the I can't even tell you, being a Gold Star family, and like calling Brown up, First Lieutenant Brown, Micah Brown. I'll never forget him. He absolutely needs to be stripped from his uniform. He has no character to be in that uniform at all, to be in any kind of leadership role, and it's a little leadership role. But he's West Point. These West Pointers, like David Park, absolutely have to, be held accountable for what they've done, because they absolutely betrayed everything that, West Point, the foundation of West Point, started with, in teaching military leadership. They just don't have it. They just don't have it at all. Matter of fact, they're criminal. They're absolutely criminal. So, and many more, and many more. Um, so, the evidence is there. We have the evidence of the failure of leadership, and but it's there in El Paso. It's there at Fort Bliss, and this criminal group, they have to be held accountable. And part of that group is Leilani Hart and Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, and they are part of this illegal immigration fraudster problem, the chaos that it causes, and the crimes that it causes, and the pain and the consequences that come from that, which are deadly and expensive, deadly and expensive, um, which hurts many people. Try, when your budget is being blown, number one, it doesn't make you a happy person, and number two, families suffer. And so, yeah, this all needs to be addressed, and we're really hoping that that this new administration, they will get all the help that they ask for from us, and we will give them even more. Give them even more. Pad the files. Absolutely continue reporting all of this interference, all of this criminal action, asking for more and more open records until we have our son's remains. So that's really our message for tonight. You know, the lessons today in church were about the fish that, just a little bit of fish, a little bit of bread, and God can absolutely turn it into a feast, right? He can turn it into a feast. So you just give a little bit of your faith, a little bit of your time, and you're faithful in putting in uh, the complaints, going through, because we haven't even, there's so many complaints that need to be filed, that haven't still been filed. And thanks be to God that we don't have like a time limit on this. So we are absolutely continuing to file, knowing that God will make this absolutely justice, a feast of justice, accountability. Um, and I hate to use the word feast for it, um, but what that will do is get these criminals off the street, get them out of our uniforms, get them out of the authority to have a badge, absolutely strip them of their ability to file fake identities to get U.S. benefits, things like this, so uh, that the innocent people, the hardworking people, and the service members, um, well, they will have it much, much better without these criminals around, these murderous criminals around. Absolutely. With the criminal trafficking, which we always have to mention, the over 300,000 children from the camps. And there's more, there's so many more that, their numbers, identity numbers were being written on their clothes, on their back, or whatever, or even on their skin. We've been told that. And yeah, so we can't forget to ask for prayers for that because they're mostly dead. Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. They're mostly dead, and terrible things, absolutely terrible things. And so for their sake, for El Paso's sake, for Fort Bliss' sake, this criminal group has to be stopped, and they have to be held accountable. And with that, yeah, that's my prayer. And with the prayer always comes action, right? Faith without works is dead. To pray is to work is to pray, right? So you always have to put forth the work along with your prayer. And that is filing, and letting everyone know through these live streams who we are, what we want, why we want them. And we appreciate you sharing because we are getting banned and everything. But God has his timing and God has his way. And, I'll just keep on finding a way. I keep on finding a way. Remember the whole J6 thing? They banned me for a month and I found a way. I wore the shield for a whole month as shield. Remember that? The shield that the army gave me. Yeah. So that was so interesting. Um, you have to find a way. And so, we have to, and we just need the information to hit the right ears and the right hearts. And the heart and soul, right? The heart and soul that Judge Medrano doesn't have. Justice requires a heart and soul. And Judge Medrano doesn't have that. Okay? He's cold blooded. And we just have to hit a certain heart and with this information and let them know the scope of it, how the scope is part of the Walmart case, part of the election for Yvonne Rosales, part of the election for President Trump, this interference, and, this whole narrative of racism and stuff like this that was fake. It's kind of like a Smollett thing, fake. And, Smollett happened in 2019 too. They were all kind of orchestrating. And it's very interesting that Veronica Escobar is buddy chummy with the Harris. And Kamala Harris is chummy with Smollett. And he did a fake race biting thing, right? He just got off on it, but he did it. He got convicted of carrying out his own little race crime, and saying it was, it was him. It was he was attacking himself, and yet he was blaming it on the MAGA. And the same thing was happening under Veronica Escobar's watch with the Walmart mass shooting. It was MAGA. And I have to tell you that Richard was MAGA, right? He was absolutely a Trump supporter, absolutely Christian. And I think this was a hate crime against him. It was a retaliation for the reporting, the criminal trafficking, the child protective services, the what was going on Fort Bliss, the fraud and abuse of power, and also that it was a hate crime against his Christianity, against his Christian beliefs and also against his political beliefs, because this political group is anti-Trump, anti-MAGA. They have a common denominator of being Mormon, and they're up to no good. They're absolutely up to no good. So thank you so much for listening, and we will be back. I'm going to try everything to get the word out. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye bye.